Welcome back to the Path of Radiance Wheel Challenge, where all my unit deployments are random and mistakes are punished with Dark Souls 2. So, to recap the story thus far, a princess who's lost her family and her country must flee to safety and gather her strength so she can one day return and reclaim her rightful... Hey, wait a second. This is just the plot of the Marth games. This is just Shadow Dragon again. So we pick up with Chapter 10, and our friend Ranulf here advises us to stop and do a quick prison break. 5-minute adventure, in and out. On the way, we meet the least shady guy, ignore the red eyes, named Volk, who will unlock doors and chests for 50 gold per lock. He's also a surprise tool that the plot will bring up much later. This is also the first map where Leith and Mordecai are properly recruited onto the team. It's just a matter of personal preference which one you use, really. I like Mordecai since he can shove people 2 tiles instead of 1, and because I prefer big warm hugs over being scratched to death. Now this is finally the first map where we have to spin the wheel, and I'll basically just be putting all my units on the board and spinning it over and over until all the deployment slots are filled, but all of my preparation stuff I'll be doing after spinning so I can plan what I buy and what consumables I use around what I rolled on the wheel. The only real issue for this map is that the wheel decided not to bring Titania, so we don't have her safety net, but that's fine. We don't need her, right? Now that we have loads of money, I make Mia a forged iron sword that I named the Mortal Blade because she'd love that. You can actually choose to go stealth on this mission, but I find that really boring, so fuck it! We're doing it live! 3 prisoners here are recruitable characters, and the last is an NPC named Sephiran. He has a skill called Mantle, which makes him literally invincible, but he won't move unless you force him to. So I pick him up and drop him in front of the enemies to act as a sort of human shield for me, as he stands completely in place, sipping his tea and taking no damage. He does get the chance to talk to Ike later, though. I was tending to wounded soldiers when I was captured by the Daeins. And then here in this prison, I was picked up by a large tiger man, carried out of my cell, and now I'm talking to you. All in all, it's been a weird day. As for the others, Brahm is an armor knight, and though his stats aren't much to write home about, come on, look at that smile. Kieran is the red knight to Oscar's green knight, and he's extremely passionate about everything. Like, he's the guy who takes the middle school basketball game way too seriously. Nephany was added because this map needed a waifu, so there you go. She's also the very first soldier to be playable in the whole series. I mean, except for Gaiden, but like, come on, who gives a shit about Gaiden? Now, we could just go to the escape point and ignore the boss, but come on, look at all that treasure. We can't leave all that treasure, right? Oh, and look at that, Mia can get this kill. Hell yeah, she can like barely get kills at all. I'm 100% giving this to her. I didn't heal her. Forgot to heal her. Well, the only person left that can act is Soren, and he can't body block to protect her because he'd die in one hit. So there's only one thing to do. Take all the important items and accept that she's screwed. Sorry, Mia. Oh, but thank God that Vantage went off before she died. Like, thank the Lord for Vantage. Now here, Chapter 11 is my favorite chapter in the whole series, where Ike is taught what racism is when he should probably know by now. This is a subtle reference to me in 7th grade, learning what a gay person is. I had lost enough units that I only have to leave one person on the bench, so I just spun it once and it landed on Ileana. Now, to play the most optimally, you want to give as much bonus experience as you can to one person, but the wheel means I can't rely on a single unit consistently. So I opt instead to spread it out to multiple different people, which I usually do anyways because I have more fun that way. We get a lot of levels that are this time around, but Nephany gets a really good one. She missed out on luck, but like, who needs luck, right? So I forge her a lance called the Nephanope, and hopefully, just maybe, she can save this playthrough. The objective is to get to the upper left of the map and meet with Nasir, which is that guy from the house in Chapter 3, but there's a few side objectives. First of all, stay away from this house. There are a few houses around that have rewards as usual, but they won't give you anything if you visit with either Leith or Mordecai due to the racism. What they can do is recruit Zyhart. His dialogue here where he talks about how eager he is to hunt down some Laguz is meant to actually be a hint that he wants to protect Laguz, and you have to talk to him with one of them. I'm sorry, hold on. That doesn't make any sense, right? Appearing at the entrance here is Jill, who's eager to murder people, and Har, who tells her to maybe chill out a little bit. She'll stay in place as long as we don't get close, so for reasons that will be clear later, we want to keep away. The boss moves, which is a little scary, but we get everyone to gang up on him. Nephany gets the final blow, and hey, do you hear that? It sounds a little bit like, oh Jesus, he's here! He's here! Okay, maybe he'll just stay in place, and he's moving, go, 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 go. Kill this guy standing on the objective, faster, 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 faster. Okay, we're out, Jesus, oh my God. Oh, that was stressful. Ranulf almost gets murked by the Black Knight, but Sephiran, who we saved from prison, commands him to stand down and he listens. This is a subtle reference to my Black Knight x Sephiran fanfiction, where they're deeply and madly in love. We cut to Ranulf and Gifka, who are talking about their spy that's infiltrated Ike's team. And then we cut to the Black Knight and Ashnard, who are talking about their spy that's infiltrated Ike's team. Now, we're gonna be on a boat for 2 months. Yippee. During the trip, we find a stowaway, a little boy named Soth, and we do the normal thing and give him a job. Soth is pretty bad in this game, but in Radiant Dawn, he'll be really good for a long time, before he eventually becomes the worst unit that you're forced to use. I forged Brahm a lance and named it the Brahminator, obviously. The wheel did land on Soth for this map, so I decided to defy the wheel for the first time, adding 30 minutes to the Dark Souls 3 timer, and bring Soren instead. I'll be serving my Dark Souls 2 sentence at the end all at once the playthrough is complete. But of course, here's a sneak preview. So since I switched Soren in, that means this chapter went well, right? A bunch of pirate ravens are attacking our crash ship. We just kind of have to wait for them to get close enough for us to hit them, but they can't hit you with melee from off deck, so if you set up people in a line, then they can only attack people at the ends of the line, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, but whatever. Make no mistake though, these ravens are fast, evasive, and dangerous. Which brings me here, where Oscar misses an 85% against a raven, which means it'll be free to kill either Mist or Reese, and all I can do is choose which one to throw to the wolves. I choose Mist because she has the miracle skill, and there's an 8% chance it'll go off and save her from— nope, okay, she's down. Luckily, here is where we recruit the best character, Jill. Yes, she is currently obscenely racist, but I can fix her. Just ignore all these 61% attacks that she misses this chapter. She joins with an item called the Laguz Guard, so when she's attacked by a Laguz, whatever is shown by the battle forecast will be halved. This is great for her to have when she gets doubled by these ravens. Now the boss here is Seeker, who has corrosion and miracle, because I guess he wants to be annoying. After chipping him down, I try to give Nephany the final blow, and she misses her 74% chance attack, and then Seeker gets a 1% critical hit on her and kills her instantly. She was still at base luck, so if she had grown that stat a single time, she would have had no crit chance, and she would have lived, because the enemy crit chance is reduced by your luck stat, so yeah, so we're 3 chapters into the wheel, and we've already got a bloodbath on our hands, but the good news is that it took me so long to finish this chapter that the 2 enemies who dropped stat boosters spawned again when I think they weren't supposed to, so I actually got 2 Seraph Robes and 2 secret books instead of just 1 of each. Again, I don't think that was supposed to happen. Afterwards, we get rescued by our predicament by the Prince of Goldoa, the nation of Dragon Laguz. We get to see them in their super ripped dragon form. Like, this isn't just me, these are really muscular dragons, right? So we're almost finally at Benyan, and we meet Tanith, an envoy of the Empress, who's come to acknowledge our arrival and invite us to a meeting. However, the boat that the Empress is currently on is under attack, and Soren recognizes this is a great opportunity to put her in our debt, which never comes back up later. We get a look at Naesala and Tibarn throughout the chapter, and we'll learn more about those 2 later. Also, I gave Jill a forged lance and I named it Dashcon? I don't remember why I did that, so don't ask. I use Reese and Mordecai to shove Ike 3 tiles right off the bat so I can have him immediately recruit Astrid. She starts with low stats, low level, and the worst weapon type, which is the bow, but she has the Paragon skill, which means she gains experience twice as fast. And since she is on a horse, she can safely use hit and run tactics to chip away at enemies, catch up over time, and eventually become a terrifying force of nature. After that, she can talk to— oh, goody, Gatry's back. While he's still tanky and helpful, he's currently inferior to Brahm in both stats and personality. Like, seriously, he looks like he's gonna call me a slur. Volk and Soth run around grabbing chests while all my other units clear both the Bayork enemies and the Ravens trying to steal the loot from me. The boss of the chapter is an archer, so he can't attack from 1 tile away. I use this to my advantage by trapping him in with Kieran, Oscar, and Soth, who just kind of poke at him like pencil-wielding children until he dies. Now, if we open the last chest here, all the Ravens will leave, but we want to fight the Ravens to get experience from them. So I set up this sort of maze for them to try to get to the chest while I attack, mostly with Astrid and Jill, up until the last turn, which is when we can open it. The most interesting loot here is an occult scroll, which can teach someone their class's ultimate skill. A lot of them are hot garbage, like they really suck, but some of them are okay, so it's still valuable to pick them up. Anyways, we successfully defend the Apostle, but apparently she ran off on her own somewhere, but like, how far could she have possibly gone? I didn't find the Apostle, but I did find this sassy lost child. Ike, that is the Apostle. Why is she trying to chew my arm off then? You'll learn when you're older? What the hell could that possibly mean? After a sequence where the Apostle and the senators, including this motherfucker, briefly get to exploit Alencia emotionally, Ike nearly gets executed twice, and then afterwards he learns that his actions have consequences. His troop is hired to stop some bandits who are peddling Lagoo's slaves. First, we promote Oscar to Paladin to give him access to axes, give Ike an energy drop because he needs higher strength, and give Astrid a Draco shield and Seraph robe for better survivability. We also make a forged bow for Astrid and name it Feminism. I also know I haven't been talking much about the base conversations, but I want to point out this one here where Ike has his least asexual moment, TM. This is the second and final map that has Fog of War added to it on hard mode. Thieves have improved vision as usual, so the wheel forcing us to bring Volk is kind of alright, actually. We have a few people split to the left for multiple purposes. First, to get a few villages that has some rewards, including one from a friend that we'll meet again later. Oh, Khalil, my love. Second, Makalov is here, a recruitable cavalier. Because he's on a horse, he's still at least an okay unit, but unfortunately, he's a disgusting, terrible man, and I can't recruit him because Marsha's gone, so hey, let's make sure Astrid gets the good ending, why not? Radiant Dawn Astrid isn't real. She can't hurt me. She can't hurt me. As we approach the boss, he unleashes 2 Lagoos at us that have been driven to some kind of madness, called feral ones. However, all of them have made a crucial mistake in their strategy, which is they all have melee ranged weapons and they aren't moving to attack us, so we can just kind of pick them off safely at range. After that, we get to see the coolest cinematic ever made, introducing us to the meeting of the Lagoo's kings. Daein, king of dragons, who will not be moving anytime soon. Naesala, king of ravens, who would sell your spleen on the black market if you could. Tibarn, king of ravens, who is the hottest of the group objectively. I'll fight you on this. And Kennegus, king of beasts, who well, we've met him before, we know his vibe. There's also Raisin of the herons, whose species is now even rarer than a copy of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance for the Nintendo GameCube. Listen well, my fellow Lagoo's kings. We must not get involved in this war. Remember the promise we swore. I understand, Daein, but if my country is attacked by Daein, we will have no choice but to defend ourselves. And I don't know about you, but I think violence is actually kind of chill. I don't remember swearing to avoid that. Is that just me? The only promise I remember swearing is get bitches, get money, am I right? Hello? Am I on push to talk? For the next mission, we go out to deal with more bandits, but that turns out to be an organized Lagoo's rebellion. Whoopsie daisy. So this is the government-mandated desert level, where flyers, thieves, mages, and transformed Lagoos move at normal speed, while everyone else is slowed down. Horses and armors are slowed down by a lot. Like, Gatry is moving 1 tile a turn. He's basically unusable. So of course, I rolled the vast majority of my horse and armor units, like, why not? I did also roll Soth again, but this is good, actually, because there are treasures hidden in the sand that can be picked up more reliably by thieves than anyone else. The most important item of this group is the boots, which you can give to a unit to increase their movement. I'm gonna hold on to them for now, because I have a specific character we recruit later that I'll be giving them to. Though, to be fair, you kind of have to just look up where the treasures are, because, like, this is the part of the game where they just had to sell strategy guides, so they include some, like, obtuse bullshit. Speaking of obtuse bullshit, there's actually a super secret hidden cheat code you can access in this chapter, and his name is Stefan. If you put either Leith or Mordecai on a specific tile in the far corner of the map that you would otherwise probably never go to, you'll get this super powerful swordmaster with the Astra skill. He has a bunch of lore that we won't be getting into even slightly. Also, Soren at some point promotes to Sage, so we get to choose whether we want him to be able to heal people, a very valuable and rare resource, or be able to use the worst weapon type in the game that he doesn't have good strength for. Decisions. The boss is Moram, a tiger Lagoos who doesn't move or have any ranged attacks, so we're just gonna pelt him with magic and arrows until he goes down. Instead of killing him though, we recruit him and his basically adoptive son Tormod to our team. Moram as a Tiger Lagoos is very beefy, and he also has the Demi Band, which lets the wielder stay always transformed with a slight stat penalty. Tormod is a low-level fire mage, but he has an ability called Celerity, which makes him move as fast as a horse. That's not a joke, by the way. He's actually moving as fast as a horse. Like, he's dashing as a bonus action over here. Raisin, who is basically the sole surviving heron, is taken by Naesala to fly over what remains of his former home, the Serenes Forest, which was destroyed 20 years ago by humans. Naesala suggests, they take shelter for the night, and surely he has nothing but the best of intentions, right? Oh, he's selling his best friend into slavery to one of the most obsessive, cruel, and egotistical men on the face of the continent that wants to parade him around like a trophy? Uh-oh. Someone's gonna have to make an apology video. I know a lot of people were upset about my actions, and I'm sorry you feel that way. Here I forged a sword for Zyhark called Byhark, and recruiting Stefan gives us a base conversation where we get another occult scroll. So what's been happening here is that the Empress wanted to show us the corruption within her country so then we can help to expose it. I mean, she could have just told us about it instead of playing 4D chess, but whatever, I guess it doesn't matter that much. To do this, we need to go to the mansion of Oliver Tannis and find evidence of him doing something wrong, because he definitely is. Oliver tries to get us to go away.
Do you have a warrant? Do you have a fucking warrant?
To no avail. And the moment we start to get on his trail, he orders his guards to kill us because this game needs combat. There's a bunch of chests on this map, but there's also a thief that will steal some from us, so we have to move fast to catch them. On the way is Devdan, a funny, reliable guy that I'd love to have on the team so we can have a halberdier. You have to talk to him with one of the younger looking characters, so Soren, Soth, Tormod, Mist, and Rolf are the options. We just gotta lure him closer, and yeah, let me just play the clip. And Moram is gonna... Oh wait, shit. Actually, the odds of Devdan dying to Stefan is extremely high. Okay, sorry, Devdan. Fuck. I should have thought about that a little harder.
How is he gonna fight like 10 men now? I guess he's not.
He's resting. So, yeah. Whoops. The rest of the map is actually extremely uneventful, which I'm fine with, because the next chapter is a doozy, so we just level up Astrid and Jill a bunch, we get all the chests, and we prepare ourselves for the battle ahead. Oliver manages to escape, and Rayson refuses help from Ike while fleeing into Serena's forest, so overall, things aren't going great for our boy. Before continuing, let's talk a bit about supports. Basically, for each support rank two characters have, they get bonuses while within 3 tiles of each other, the exact numbers of which depend on their affinity. For example, Earth affinity means that both units get extra evasion per rank. Oscar and Ike are both Earth affinity and are at this point at A rank, so while near each other, all attacks have a 30% lower chance to hit, which makes this one of the strongest support combos in the game. We have a few other supports going, like Jill and Leith are now at B rank, Ike and Soren at C and making their way to B, and I guess Oscar and Kieran are at C rank? It's kind of hard to grow supports when you literally don't control who you're deploying. I do want to showcase the side plot of Jill, who in the base conversations admits that she's been staying along because she's only now learning that maybe the Lagoos aren't all that bad, and what she's been taught by Daein society is wrong, that she needs to look out into the world and decide her own answer instead of looking for one from others. It showcases how difficult, but also how important it is to break out of cycles of prejudice that get passed down from generation to generation. That racism, homophobia, etc. is more than just someone being an asshole, but it's a societal structure that needs to be dissected and dismantled. Oh, yeah, this is supposed to be a meme video, isn't it? Hold on, let me grab something from my meme folders. Oh, here's a Jill reaction image I think I saw on Tumblr at some point. Let me change this actually to, there we go, live Jill reaction. Perfect. So chapter 17 is what I like to call the Gauntlet, which is one big chapter made up of 4 mini chapters, and after each one you call in 2 additional units as reinforcements, which I'll also be spinning for. Now looking at my initial team for this Gauntlet, you might notice something. It fucking sucks. Soth and Volk, thieves. Great. Zyhark, who has not been leveling strength or defense, so he's very fragile and can't do much damage. Tormod, who has potential, but he's still underleveled. Gatry, who's capable of tanking and nothing else. Mordecai, who's alright. Reese, who's a healer. Boyd and Soren, who are actually good units, and then Ike. My best units up until this point have been Oscar, Jill, Titania, Astrid, Kieran, Braum, Moram, and Stefan, and they are all on the bench right now. This bodes ill, but you know what? This means that the people I roll for my reinforcements are gonna be good pretty much no matter what. I also turned off the battle animations at some point because as much as I do love this game, sometimes it goes so slow. There is this brief moment here where we get surrounded by enemies. I was convinced someone was going to die, but we do manage to take out enough enemies to stay alive. At another point, Boyd reaches 1 HP, and it's really scary, but we're good. But the big issue is when Soren takes 2 hits, and he goes down. Now, because of the way I set up the rules, it is discouraged to intentionally get a game over to bring someone back because of the Dark Souls 2 timer, but it's also not forbidden. So if I think literally an hour of Dark Souls 2 is worth resetting, then I do have that option. And this time, yeah, I decide it's worth it. So I get Ike killed, I add an hour to the timer, I run it again, and do it right this time. Astrid also promotes to Paladin at some point, and I give her axes as well, so then she can do more damage. We discovered that there is in fact a second living Heron named Leanne, who has been protected by the forest for 20 years. During the last 2 stages, Ike is holding her on his back, which limits his fighting devastating ability, so we have to keep him out of the fray if possible. Now here in the last stage is a meteor mage who will be blasting my units with long-range fire magic, and the only easy way to get to them is with a flyer. Luckily, I finally rolled Jill on the wheel, so in a couple turns she arrives to help. Moram is hit for a lot of damage, and I forget to retreat with him, and I attack instead, so he has a very high chance of dying unless I can get to him to heal him, but Soren is 3 tiles too far away, so there's not much I can do. Unless it's time for the classic shove train maneuver. You get a shove, you get a shove, you get a shove, and he is there. Let's go! Sylph actually ends up taking a hit here because of how I positioned him, but he survives with 2 HP somehow, despite having garbage stats. So like, good for him. While going for the Meteor Mage though, I accidentally crossed this invisible line here with Jill, which not only spawns Bone Knight reinforcements from the back, which I'm not ready for, but it causes Rayson and Tabarn to spawn. They see a human trying to protect a heron, and they are truly befuddled at the sight of somebody who isn't racist. But you know what? They come in to help out anyways. So we don't have any control over any of them, and Tabarn is extremely powerful. So if we don't hurry, he can steal a lot of experience and even some really good loot. The only person who can hope to get over there fast enough is Jill, and not only does she promote into Wyvern Lord for her troubles, but she also manages to both get the final blow on this Halberdier to snag the Adept Scroll, which I give to her later, and get the final blow on Oliver to take the Nosferatu tome. I may not be innocent, but even I can see you're a monster. Any last words, scum?
No, I cannot
both
die.
know that you are now
essentially
you
spend your time
You have seen
The situation is explained to all parties involved that Ike is here to help the Laguz on the behalf of Empress Sonic, who promptly apologizes on behalf of her people for the tragedy that was the Serena's massacre. I mean, to be clear, Sonic wasn't even alive when it happened, so she doesn't need to feel that bad. I mean, like, I understand what it represents story-wise, right? But like, the fact that she's taking like personal responsibility, I mean, I don't know, it's like, whatever. It doesn't matter that much. The herons forgive her, they do a magic song that I guess requires 2 herons to do, that restores the forest to its former glory. And the best part is that Oliver is finally dealt with. Until Radiant Dawn, where somehow Oliver returned. Okay, but I love this clip because the people here don't seem like shocked or horrified. They seem like vaguely disappointed, which is really funny to me. God, this movie is so bad. With that, Sonic formally pledges her forces to aid Alencia in the fight against Daein. But if Ike is to lead these troops and become general, he cannot be a commoner. He must be granted lordship. And so, with Alencia granting him the title of nobility, he gets his promotion into the Lord class. And he's actually back on track with strength. Like, if I didn't have an energy drop, he would be on average right now, which means that he's somehow ahead of the average. He was behind by like 4 points earlier, so I really don't know how he caught up. Now we're finally gonna start taking the fight to Daein, and we get a number of new units to do so with. The first is Tanith, and normally I do my haha Pegasus Knight bad little, routine I have, but if I did that, she would beat the shit out of me because her stats are fucking cracked. Like, look at this. This is insane. She also comes with the Sonic Sword, a sword that uses the magic stat instead of strength, and she is one of the best users of it in the whole game. In fact, maybe the best user of it. She also has a unique ability called Reinforce, where she can call in generic NPC knights to help you. They aren't crazy strong, but they work well as a distraction, cannon fodder, or if you just need all the bodies you can get. Next, we get Rayson, who fills the role of the dancer, someone that's able to give someone who already acted an extra turn. You basically have your best unit twice. It's super helpful. Plus, when he transforms, he dances not just 1 unit, but all 4 units directly next to him, which is ridiculously good. This is who I was saving the boots for, by the way. I give it to him immediately. With him come Tabarn's 2 Hawk helpers, Janeth and Ulki. Janeth, who I thought was a girl for a really long time, is generally regarded to be the better of the 2, but this is also a personal preference thing. Like, some people like Ulki's, I don't know, I guess his sharp chin.
His chin. But his chin is looking pretty sharp. I think that bumps him up to
That has nothing to do with his name.
But his chin is looking pretty sharp, Like...
Okay.
For this chapter, I forge an axe called Glasses for Oscar, but then when the mission starts, I realize I didn't give an axe to Astrid, so she'll be using his glasses for the next 2 chapters. There are multiple mages here with long-range attack tomes, Soth dodges an attack from one that would have one-shot him, and I swear, at this point, if Soth survives until the end of the game, I'm gonna take half an hour off the Dark Souls 2 timer, because I will have earned that shit. So here's where we would have re-recruited Sheenan if we could, but to do so, you have to talk to him with Rolf first, and then defeat him with Ike. But Rolf is dead, so I guess we have to do this the old-fashioned way. Hey, Sheenan, Ike, what the hell are you doing here? I'm older, asshole. So something I didn't mention is that I rolled Ilyana, which is a bit of an issue because I haven't rolled her in like 6 chapters, and not only is she underleveled, but her growths have been bad. Her growths have been really bad. So I gave her a Master Seal so then she can keep up a bit better and at least be a healer, but her stats still aren't great. In fact, near the end of the map, I ended up underestimating how far this Raven can move and how much speed it had over her, and it one-rounded her. It killed her in a single combat, despite the bonuses from the Master Seal. So I guess we're down a healer, which is bad. But the good news is that, So chapter 19 is the one I've been dreading. Because we need some very specific things from the wheel here because Naesala is fighting on Daein's side. For no reason other than the same thing he literally sold his best friend for. Just an ungodly amount of money. We have your payment ready, King Kilvas. As much as I wish I could keep it for myself and spend it all on hit turn-based RPG Honkai Star Rail, available for iOS, Android, Windows, and PlayStation 5, it is a sacrifice I am willing to make. Thank you very much, milady. Don't call me that. Say, what will you be spending it on anyways? You know, things my country needs. Infrastructure, food, shelter, tools. Sounds gay. Just spend it on, like, Team Fortress 2 cosmetics, like a normal degenerate. So we need either Janet or Ulki to talk to Naesala, so then Naesala will stop attacking us and instead go talk to Rayson. After doing so, he and his Raven followers will leave. But we need to bait Naesala towards us in order to get him in range, and the ideal scenario is that we use Tanith's Reinforce ability to get NPCs to lure him over, because we do not want any of our units to fight Naesala if we can help it. Fortunately, I managed to get lucky on the wheel. I rolled all 4 of these units, and our plan is set up. I forged Tanith the Steel Lance that I named the Lancebean, and we're good to go. I summon the helpers, and they start messing with the common Raven enemies. Now, we don't actually want to kill the Ravens, because if all of them survive until Naesala talks to Rayson, then he gives you the Night Ring, which lets you use the rest of your movement after your action like a mounted unit can. But these NPCs actually end up being very helpful in this regard, because the Ravens start attacking them and getting counterattacked for only a little bit of damage, instead of attacking my units and taking really strong counterattacks. So the plan goes relatively without a hitch. So Naesala leaves, we get the Night Ring, and we don't have to fight one of the strongest enemies in the game. The Ballista are pretty scary, but I have Tanith equipped with an item we got for the chest in chapter 16 called the Full Guard. So while equipped with it, bows no longer do extra damage to her like normal. She does have a moment where she misses 2 attacks that are 84%, and the boss activates a skill called Adept, and this damn near killed her, but one of them missed, luckily, so she's good. Moments like this, by the way, that have happened multiple times this playthrough, where just the luck against me is like really obscene, this is normal for me. Like, this is just how my RNG luck in games just is. Like, this is my life. I've kind of gotten used to it, not gonna lie. I end up taking out the boss with Ike, and something else I want to point out, I once again rolled Soth, so he was just kind of hiding behind everyone else, and the only useful thing he did was steal a men's staff. I've been rolling Soth a lot, and he is not done a whole lot. Like pretty much whenever I roll Soth, I'm just down a unit, and that's all it is. After the battle, we discover a hoard of 120,000 gold pieces that would have been given to Naesala if he defeated us, but it's ours now. 70,000 goes into our company's coffers and gives us more money than a reasonable person will ever use. But Ike takes 50,000 for a private matter, and unlike Sheenan, he's not going to blow it all on blackjack and hookers. No, instead he gives it to Volk. Remember the red-eye guy from like chapter 10? Yeah, all that time ago he was like, I have top secret information for Grail's son, but it costs the mortgage for an entire city for some reason. The short version is that this medallion that Mist has the entire time actually has an evil chaos god trapped inside of it, and Mist is the only one who can touch it without going completely berserk and trying to murder everybody. Volk says it's because she's extremely balanced or whatever the hell, but like, I mean, she's like 14 years old. Show me one balanced 14-year-old, all right? Grail touched it once on accident and went on a rampage, slaying everyone in his path until his wife Elena tore it from his grip, giving her life in the process. Basically, it's very important that this medallion does not fall into the wrong hands. So that's the story, whether you believe it or not. Figured you can figure out what to do with this information, now that you've grown so much. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Hey Titania! Oh yes, Ike, did you need something? You said some time ago that my father had, like, deft hands and a piercing gaze or whatever, and that you'd explain what that means when I'm older. What was that about? Oh, right, that. Ike, I'm not gonna lie to you. Your dad and I were banging. That's all for part 2 of the Path of Radiance Wheel Challenge. Tune in next time when we fight dads, recruit dads, confront the Black Knight, King Ashnard, and the worst criminal of all, a biology major.